What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. I was just watching a video of a guy talking about living in how been living in the storage locker for 5 months, and it reminded me of the time I lived in a storage locker for a couple months. I don't know if you know. I don't know if I talked about it. It's kind of cringe. It's kind of embarrassing. But I was kind of homeless for a while. I was homeless for like a couple years. I had to move out of the place I lived at for a while. I was staying with people for a while, but it became kind of toxic in a way. It became hard to live with people. You don't want to live with people. When you grow up, you need to go out on your own because people want to live a certain way. I think it was just mostly because of drugs, maybe, and I couldn't be around that anymore because it brought a bunch of other problems. So people that were drinking and drugging, I had to get away. Like, I had to get to a more healthier environment. And then, we were arguing a lot too, so that was another reason. But I don't know if I talked about this. I might have talked about my journey sleeping in the car, living in the car for a couple of years. I lived in a car in like an SUV for a few years, and it's funny. I moved out right at summertime. Like, I had to leave and find a place right around summertime, so it was hot. Trying to move out into a car in the summertime is a bad idea. You can live in a car. You can live in a car for a few months during wintertime, but right around summertime, it becomes really hard to do because you can't run your AC all the time. You can't run your car all the time, and it becomes hard to manage. Kind of like this. I'm living in a truck right now, but it has an air conditioning system, which helps. But I moved out and lived in my car. Moved into my car. I didn't have that many choices. I didn't have anywhere to go, so I kind of just went out. I said, I'm gonna figure it out. I'll find a place to go. And it's been a few years. It was like the summer of 2022. Wait a minute, no. When I moved out, it was the summer of 2021. So it's been a real long time. But I had an SUV. I moved all my stuff into storage, and then started trying to live in my SUV. And it was just hot. I think I was making money with like a side hustle, like selling stuff online. But it wasn't like steady income. It was just up and down. And I had to drive around all day, and it was just like kind of a job. It's just another glorified job. Selling stuff online is like another glorified job. People hype it up because you can make good money, but it wasn't going that good. I was really kind of spinning my wheels, and I didn't know what to do. So way back in the summer of 2021, I went out. I think I made it. I don't know what I did. I think for a few months I was in the car. I think I sweated it out that summer. I think I made it all the way till about winter, just sitting in the car and just toughing it out with a fan or something for the whole summer. It's hard to remember. It's been a while, but I think I toughed it out that summer, and then I got a job like around September. I toughed it out this summer and made enough money. Um, I don't know how I made it through that summer because it was so hot. So hot. And then it gets hot in Florida. It gets really hot. So I don't know. It might be a little different up north, but it gets really hot in Florida. So I think I toughed it out one summer, and then I got a job. I made some decent money. Then got a CDL, Class B. Somehow I pushed all the way through. Made it to winter time. Kept living in the car until the next summer, until it started warming up again, and I was making all right money, but I still didn't want to get a place. It was like a lot of money to get a place, and I was trying to do a lot of other things. What the hell was that? Oh well. Alright, so I went and I was working, and I had storage. I think I moved my storage too. I had a storage locker at one place, and I had thought about staying in storage locker, but I knew you could get in trouble, and they watch, and people were trying to do it, and I seen them doing it, and I was like, I don't want to do that, man. It's kind of messed up to try to go live in a storage locker. Until the summertime hit, I I should have just went and rented a room or something, try to get a room somewhere, but I ended up getting another storage locker. I think it was like a 10 by 15 or something, 10 by 20. And it was kind of big. It had enough room, so I ended up, it got hot. It was like around, I want to say May or June, and I started getting hotter and hotter, so I decided to try to stay in the locker. I seen other people doing it, and I had a car, so I would park the car in the storage place at night, and I'd try to leave early in the morning before anybody got there. So I would come late after people left, or I would get there later, and then I would go to work in the morning. So I would kind of go under the radar when I drove in, but I would park in between like buildings, and then I would get out and go into the storage locker at night and stay in there. And it was, I think it was climate controlled inside. I want to say it was an inside locker, so I didn't have to worry about the heat. But there were people that were trying to live on the outside lockers with the heat, and they were just out there and walking around and riding bikes, and they were living in those lockers outside. And so there was like a few people living in there, and like, you know, I think management knew about it. They were kind of trying to work with them, but I think if they didn't cause any problems, they weren't trying to, you know, give them problems. But I think they might have tried to kick people out because they weren't paying and they were causing problems. But it was funny. I could see other people trying to live in there, and I was living in there, but I didn't interact with them too much. I just tried to keep a low profile and fly under the radar as much as possible. But I lived in that storage locker for about 3 months, and I think it was like, you know, around June, July, August, and then I forgot what, oh, I remember, I left my job. So I was in that locker for a while. A couple months is a long time to be living in a storage locker. Um, Looking back, it seems kind of funny, kind of strange that I did that, but I wanted to cut everybody out of my life and try to live a more healthy life and stuff. So this was kind of good for me. I didn't realize it back then how good this was, because it seemed like a bad situation to be in. But you know, even though you go through struggles in life and bad situations, it's really not that bad. In the grand scheme of things, it can be good for you. So this was a good thing. I separated from everybody and I was getting my shit together. I was trying to get my shit together and get ahead and get some decent money, a decent job, and decent income to get ahead. I'm still trying to get my shit together too. I don't think we have it 100% figured out ever, but I went out. I think, was working, and then I found an opportunity to go get my Class A license at a school, and so I took it, and then I went out and I started camping out in my car, I think. Or I might have been driving back to storage, but I was camping in my car and going to truck driving to school. It was kind of far away, so I was trying to just do that. I did that. I went through truck driving school while I was, I think, living in storage and camping in my car until I got through truck driving school and got my CDL, and then went, I forgot how I did it. I went and tried to go to a trucking company that didn't work out, and then that was around the next year. So I had been living in my car for about a year, or over a year, and I couldn't find work in Class A, so I went and I found work at a warehouse for a while, and winter had come back and I started camping back in my car near that job. I found another job, and so I went back into the car and was living in the car again until the next year in 2023. I found another job, and then when that summer hit, in the summer of 2023, I went. I couldn't do it. It was too hot. I was like, I'm tired of this. I had money. I was working, so I had a little money, and I found a place. It was like $1,000 a month, which I was kind of desperate at the time, and I didn't really have a bunch of choices, and it was getting hot. It was like May, June, you know, and I was looking for a place, and I was working, and I just changed jobs. I was making like $1,000 a week, so it was decent money. And I was working my butt off, but it wasn't that bad a job. It was a good job for the time, and I had money, so I got a place for a few more months until the end of until around October or September, and went back into my car. The end of 23, and then and let's see, the beginning 2024, I tried some other opportunities, but I went back into my car. I was still living in my car for a long time, until it broke down and I had to find a place to go. I went back to the people I was living with and tried to regroup and find another car and try to get some more money to get a place or whatever. But struggled a lot trying to find places to go, and then I took a lot of risks to go find opportunities truck driving and try to get into maritime industry. But with truck driving, it's hard to get in. It's hard to without experience, and then if you're in certain areas, it's hard to get into a good company, and so you might have to move. But the same thing with maritime, it's hard to get in entry level. It takes a lot of work. I put in like a year work to try to get into the maritime. I put in like a year or so work to try to get into trucking, and it just didn't work out like I wanted. It didn't happen. I did all kinds of stuff to try to get in, and I spent so much money and so much time to try to get in, and then only to be let down. But it was kind of satisfying because I accomplished some of my goals that I set out to do. But for a long time I was in a car. I just recently moved into another small place, and found another opportunity in truck driving. So I'm back in a truck now, and I had to leave my last job because it was kind of a bad company, and I had a bad experience there, and decided to leave. But I think I'm like starting to make my way in trucking. I tried to go into maritime, it didn't work out because it's just hard to get into, and I had some like technical problems I had to work out. I'm still trying to work that out, but I don't know if that's gonna work out. It's kind of hard being on a ship for long periods of time anyway. But yeah, for a long time I lived in my car, and I lived in a storage locker for a few months at one time. I think it was that one summer, and then I didn't want to do it again after that because I felt embarrassed and I felt bad about it because I knew it was wrong. We shouldn't be doing it. And but I needed somewhere to go. You don't have a lot of options out here. There's a lot of people out here just living on the street, living in tents. And I've seen my family go through it too. They were homeless for a while, and part of my family was on the streets, and a lot of it due to like alcoholism, drug addiction. They just didn't want to change, and then they just living in a tent in the woods, and I didn't want that. I don't want that for me. I want something more, and I want something better. I've done a lot of work, and I kind of make decent income now, so I can afford to have a decent place too. But I'm trying to save money by living in a truck too, like, you know, being on the road most of the time and cutting down my bills. But living in a storage locker for a few months was kind of crazy. I had people, you know, come in there, and they tried to open the door while I was sleeping. I was like, hey, I didn't know. There was somebody that came there like late at night for a place to crash, I think. It's kind of weird. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know somebody was in there," but that was kind of crazy to have people come in and store looking for a place to sleep at night. That was really crazy. And then seeing, you know, different kinds of people living there, and older people, no place to go. It's just the harsh reality. You don't want to end up like that. So I've been trying to do whatever I can so I don't end up homeless. And out on the street, I still got some skills and some opportunities. So as a truck driver, I'll always have like a job probably. As long as I take care of my CDL, I'll always have a job and a place to go. Or a place to live. Live in a truck, I can go over the road, I can travel, you know, it's kind of cool. Have job security, I'll be able to make decent money. So it was a good trade to pick up, it's a good practical thing to do. within a short period of time. You know, you can do it within a month or two, and then be making money, be on the road. So there's that part of it. It's been pretty cool, but I've already gone over the road to a lot of places and seen a lot of places, and I'm starting to get some footing and some experience, and I want to get maybe another year or two experience, and then, you know, another few months maybe, and then I could probably get onto a better account or something, making more money, because there is a potential to make like 6 figures in trucking. You just have to find the right spot. You might have to move to another place to get an opportunity too. So that's what I'm thinking about doing right now, is maybe moving away to a different place and trying to see if there's better opportunities in other places, and see if I can find somewhere to go, because trucking kind of sucks here, and the opportunities kind of suck. But yeah, I had to live in a car for a while. I had to live in a store. Have money, but I didn't want to move into a place because it was kind of expensive, and I just chose to live in a car for a while. It was a few years. I didn't know it was going to be a few years. They're like, oh yeah, go out here, I'll figure it out. But it turned into a few years, like from 2021 till about, where was it? When did I stop living in my car? Oh, when my car broke down was like the beginning of, what was that? No, it was about March or April of 2024. Yeah, April of 2024. So like May of 2021 to about April of 2024. So 3 years. And then within that time, I lived in a storage locker for a few months too, because of summertime. So take that in mind. If you want to live in a car, you can do it probably for a few months comfortably during the winter, depending on how cold it gets and stuff. But I didn't mind living in my car during the winter. It was great. But then when summertime hits, you gotta find a place to go. I recommend renting a room or something, or you know, doing something like that. But all right, that's gonna be it for this video. I'll see you in the next one.